Hi guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to talk about a Mac application which I have created using SwiftUI. In these quarantine days, people are working remotely, which means like we often tend to work more because we are out of that boundary. Like if you are in office, you have a fixed time to finish the job and come back home. But when you work remotely, you have that flexibility and you tend to work more. It happened to me also because I tend to work more without taking breaks. And my wife told me that I'm not taking break and it's not good for health. Then I then realized that it's true, I'm not taking breaks. So then I just thought of creating a small application which helps me to take breaks. I know there are a lot of applications, professional applications out there which helps you to do that, but I just thought of trying it out by my own using SwiftUI. That's what I'm going to discuss here. Let's start. Let's look at how the app looks like. So this is the app. It's pretty simple. You have an option to select a timer interval. Like I have kept like 20, 40 and 60 minutes. And for the sake of this video, I just reduced it to 20, 40 and 60 seconds just to show that how it works. Then you can set a text like reminder, like take a break, and this is persisted. You can save it and then you just start the timer. I'm just pausing the video. So now once you reach 20 minutes, then you get a message and a sound. Okay, like this is the customer message. Take a break, please. Health is important, and it will show the time since this message was shown. Like if you don't give attention to this message and continue working, and when you come back, you can see like okay, when this message was shown and you have not taken a break since. So you can either take a break, come back and click OK, then the timer starts again for another 20 minutes. Yeah, here I just kept for 20 seconds. So that's all it is. And if you click stop, it stops. And when you start, you just minimize it. Then it runs on the background. So that's all it does. But it helped me to take breaks. Now let's see how it works. It has like mainly two components, the views and the backing store, or the logic, the core logic which is being written. So let's look at the core logic first. So take a break data store is the core object which does all the timer, which manages the timer and all the core logic. So I created it as an observable object so that the view can listen and update. So I created it as a singleton instance. So I have a variable called multiplier. So this is the seconds multiplier. Now I have put the value as 1. It's ideally 60, so that if you select 20, so 20 into 60, it's going to be 20 minutes, like 1200 seconds, which is going to be 20 minutes. So for this video, I just kept it as 1. Then you have the timer. Then you have the maximum timer count, so that like when the count when the interval reaches that count, then it will show the message. Then the timer intervals, which is like 20, 40 and 60 minutes. Then you have a couple of at published variables, so that when these values inside the observable object changes, the UI gets updated. For example, tick then should show alert. I will come to this bit a bit later. Then you have the shared instance of the data store, and in the initializer you initialize with 20 minutes first. So 20 into the multiplier is going to be the maximum count, and set the tick count to 0. Then these are some convenience methods for the picker, like whenever you select an interval, it will return the picker string like 20, 40 or 60, then the count for the picker, so it's like to have the count. Then another convenience method is like you have seen, like it displays the message like no break taken since the time. So this is just to get the current time and format it. Then the display string, whatever message that you need to display, is saved to the user defaults, and this is to retrieve that. Then two functions to start timer and stop timer. So when you start a timer, there is a function called update. So in this update, we increase the tick count, and once the tick count is more than the maximum timer count, we tell to show the alert and we play the sound. Yeah, so that's pretty much with the data store. What it does, the whole core logic is being written here. And now let's see how the UI is being organized. So we have the content view here, and inside the content view I created the main view. I call it as break main view, and as you can see, so we have to arrange components vertically. So I start with a V stack, and it has to start from the left, so I keep the alignment as leading. I think preview would be have better to relate between the code and the view. So then comes the edge stack, so where I need seconds elapsed and the text as data store tick. So you can see that I kept the data store as an observable object. So once any value at published properties in data store changes, the UI gets updated. So the view tree gets updated when the value changes. So yeah, so you have the seconds elapsed and the tick count over here as a edge stack. Then I kept a divider. Then comes another edge stack where in which I have the picker. So here we have the selected picker value, then the label, like what should I pick, then a for each loop where in which, like we have seen that we have returned the convenience function. So this will return the count, like there are three values, and the text, so what should be displayed for each index. So when you click the drop down, you will be able to see 20, 40 and 60. Then you add the picker style as pop-up button picker style, then only it will look like this. Then I just gave a width of 150, because if I don't give width, then it just extends to the whole edge. It looks really weird, so I just gave 150, then added a text to indicate its minutes. Now there was one challenge which I faced, because normally in with UI kit, when you pick a value from the picker, there was an event which gets fired, like did change value, did change or something. So such a thing does not exist in SwiftUI. So it's all automatic, like when you pick a value, it just get updated by the binding property. So how does the data store know, like this was the value picked, or this was the maximum time limit which user picked? So that's why I had to define it as a published property. So if you see the data store, when this property is being set, then you will call a method called picked item. So in this picked item, we will get the value selected by the user and update the maximum timer count. That was the only way I could figure out. When the binding changes, the did set will get called. That means, like when the user select 40, 60 or 20, the binding in the picker gets updated. That means this did set will get called, and when the did set gets called, I will update the maximum timer count, so that the system knows like what is the maximum timer count. So that was a bit of a challenge here. Then comes the next section, which is the area to set your custom text. So you have a set text button, and once you click the button, you will display the text field. So this boolean will define that, like I just set it as a toggle. The moment you click the button, it just toggles the value. So if the show remainder text is true, then it will show, if a text exists, it will show the existing text. Else you can enter the text and then it gets saved. Here which was pending was, I need to, by default the text field is not multi-line in SwiftUI, not sure why. So I have kept it like that. It seems like it's a bit tricky to add that effect. I need to do a bit research on that. So I still have only one line text field, which means like you have hard time to read the whole text you are entering there. So I just set it as kind of a placeholder stuff so that you can see it still. So once you enter the text and then save it, it just saves into the user default, and next time when you try to set it, you can see the previously entered text. Then here I have added some button style. This is one way to customize a button, like to have a style. Usually it is the preferred way to do that. So let's see how it is done. So the capsule button style, so you define a foreground and background color. Then this is part of the button style protocol. Then you define some modifiers for the label, the foreground color, which is going to be white, that is a text color. Then I just set some padding so that it looks nice, the text, and then I set the line limit as 1. Then in the background I created a capsule shape, fill it with the background color, and opacity based on like when it is pressed, the opacity becomes 0.7, if not full opacity. Then added a scale effect. So this is all part of the button style, which will result in this kind of a style. Okay, then you have another divider, then again a horizontal stack with two more buttons, the start and stop button. So the functions are really simple. So when you start, we call the data store and start the timer, stop the timer. Here also I defined a custom button style. So here instead of capsule, I just used a rounder rectangle with corner radius and scale effect. And for the whole V stack, I just added a minimum width. Else what happens is the view you can drag, open and shift down, which just messes up the view. So if I just made it fixed so that it looks pretty neat. By that what I mean is like, so if you see here, you cannot expand and collapse, it just says on the size that you want. Like if you take it off, then you can just infinitely expand and do weird things with the app. Sometimes it breaks the style, so I just kept it as like kind of a static. Then I have added padding on all sides 10. Then comes the alert. So here also alert work with binding. So whenever the should show alert becomes true, then the alert message gets shown. So basically when the timer count is greater than the maximum timer count, then the published property is set to true, should show alert. So which is being listened by this control, and it gets the alert gets shown to the user, and we just pick the message to display and shows it to the user. Yeah, and apart from that, just to add some effect, I just created a sound player, which is like AV audio player, which takes a uh, like an mp3 file from the bundle path and then just play the sound. So only thing which I was unsure was like there is no way to play the sound from the view. Like of course you can do it on an action of a button click, but here our aim is like when the alert is shown, we should play a sound, but there is no possibility for that, because if I add like on appear for an alert, the sound just plays the moment the app starts. So I had to call the sound player from the data store itself. Not sure if it is a good practice, but it works. So what happens here is like whenever we set the should show alert to true, we just play the sound. So that's how you hear the sound when you reach the maximum count. Yeah, so that's all I want to tell. So this application is pretty simple, but it is really useful for me. Like I started taking breaks, I could learn something with the observable object, how the uh, published property, state property works. Cool, that's all. Try it out. I will post the link to the code in the description. Yeah, thank you. Bye bye.